There's a moment that changes everything. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, almost ordinary. But in that moment, you realize the love you built your life around has become something you can only visit in your memories. Maybe it ended with a conversation that shattered your world. Maybe it faded slowly, like a photograph left too long in the sun. Maybe the person you loved is still alive but no longer yours. Or maybe they're gone from this earth entirely, and you're left holding fragments of a life you shared. However it happened, you're here now. In this space between what was and what will be. Between the love you knew and the life you're learning to live without it. I want you to know, you're not alone in this. Millions of people walk this path, the painful journey from we back to I, from partnership to solitude, from shared dreams to solo navigation. This audiobook isn't about forgetting. It's not about moving on quickly or pretending the love didn't matter. It's about something more honest and more healing. Learning to hold your memories with tenderness instead of pain. Learning to honor what was while building what will be. Learning that you can carry love in your heart as a memory without letting it hold you hostage to the past. Over the next hour, we'll walk this path together. We'll talk about grief, about healing, about the strange landscape of life after love. We'll explore how to make peace with endings, how to process the emotions that feel overwhelming, and how to slowly, gently, find yourself again. This is your story. But it's also everyone's story who has ever loved deeply and lost. You're part of an ancient human experience, the bittersweet ache of memory, the resilience of the human heart, the courage it takes to love again after loss. Let's begin. Hashtag Chapter 1. The ending that began everything, 2:30 to 10 o'clock. Soft, understanding tone. Chapter 1. The ending that began everything. Every love story has a beginning, a middle, and for many, an ending. But here's what no one tells you. The ending is also a beginning. The beginning of grief. The beginning of transformation. The beginning of a journey you never wanted to take but have no choice but to walk. The many forms of endings. Not all endings look the same, but they all carry the weight of loss. There's the clean break. The relationship that ends definitively. A breakup conversation, a divorce decree, a final goodbye. These endings have clarity, even if they don't have closure. You know it's over, even when your heart hasn't caught up to the reality. There's the slow fade, the relationship that dies gradually. You didn't break up in one moment. You drifted apart over months or years. One day you look across the table at someone who used to be your everything and realize they've become a stranger. The ending happened in tiny increments, and you're not even sure when you cross the threshold from yes to over. There's death, the ending that isn't a choice. The person you loved is gone from this world, and with them went the future you imagined. This ending is absolute in a way breakups aren't. There's no possibility of reconciliation, no chance they'll come back, no version of the story where you try again. There's the ending that isn't quite an ending. You still see them, still talk to them, maybe co-parent with them or work with them. The relationship ended, but the connection didn't. This creates a unique pain. You have to grieve while still in contact with the person you're grieving. And there's the ending that happened inside you, when you realized you couldn't stay, even though you still loved them. When love wasn't enough to overcome the dysfunction, the toxicity, the fundamental incompatibility. You chose the ending, but that doesn't make it hurt less. Whatever form your ending took, it was the closing of a chapter you thought would have more pages. It was the death of a version of your future. And that deserves to be grieved. The shock of new reality. Even when you see the ending coming, there's still shock when it arrives. Your mind needs time to accept what your heart knows. This is real. This is happening. This is your life now. You wake up in the morning and for a blissful half-second, you forget. Then memory crashes in. They're gone. We're over. This is my new reality. You reach for your phone to text them something funny, then remember, they're not yours to text anymore. You make plans for next month, next year, and then realize those plans were based on a week that no longer exists. This disorientation is normal. Your entire life was organized around this relationship, your daily routines, your future plans, your sense of identity. When the relationship ends, everything needs reorganizing. It's like someone pulled a thread and your whole life unraveled. The questions that haunt. In the wake of an ending, questions circle like vultures. What if I had done things differently? What if I tried harder, been better, loved more? What did I miss? What signs did I ignore? Was any of it real? How did I get here? Will I ever feel normal again? These questions are part of the process. Your mind is trying to make sense of something that feels senseless. It's searching for control in a situation where control has been lost. But here's the truth: some questions don't have answers. Some things can't be understood, only accepted. And that acceptance doesn't come quickly, it comes slowly, in waves, over time. The weight of memory. The cruelest part of losing love isn't just losing the present, it's what it does to your past. All those memories you treasured? Now they're complicated. The vacation where you laughed until you cried, was that real happiness, or were you already on borrowed time? The moment they said, "I love you," for the first time, did they mean it, or was it the beginning of a beautiful lie? The future you planned together, was it ever really possible, or were you both pretending? Memory becomes unreliable. You don't know what to trust. You're grieving not just the relationship but your understanding of the relationship. Not just the person but your story with that person. The first stage, denial and bargaining. In those early days, your mind does something protective. It tries to undo the ending. Maybe if I just call them one more time? Maybe if I explain myself better? Maybe if I give them space, they'll realize. Maybe this is just temporary. This is the bargaining stage of grief, and it's exhausting. You're negotiating with reality itself, trying to find a loophole that will bring back what you lost. You might find yourself checking their social media obsessively, hoping for a sign they miss you too. You might replay conversations in your head, editing them, trying to find the words that would have changed the outcome. You might imagine scenarios where you run into each other and they realize what a mistake they made. This is normal. This is your heart's way of softening the blow of loss. But eventually, and this is important, you have to stop bargaining with what was and start accepting what is. The moment of acceptance. There will come a moment, not one moment, but many small moments, when acceptance begins to seep in. It might be when you're cleaning out a closet and you realize, I don't need to save space for their things anymore. It might be when you stop checking your phone hoping they've texted. It might be when you make plans for yourself without wondering if they'll approve or join you. It might be when you say it out loud for the first time, my ex, someone I used to love. A relationship I was in. Past tense. Memory tense. The tense of things that happened but are no longer happening. This acceptance doesn't mean you're over it. It doesn't mean you don't still feel the loss. It just means you're no longer fighting reality. You're beginning to make peace with what is. The strange relief. And here's something people don't talk about enough. Sometimes, mixed in with the grief, there's relief. Relief that the uncertainty is over. Relief that you don't have to keep trying to fix something that was broken. Relief that you can stop pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. If you feel relief, that doesn't mean you didn't love them. It doesn't mean the relationship didn't matter. It might just mean part of you knew the ending was necessary, even if another part of you is devastated by it. You can grieve the loss and still feel relief that it's over. Both can be true. Permission to grieve. Before we go further, I want to give you explicit permission for something. You are allowed to grieve this loss, however it ended. Even if you were the one who ended it. Even if the relationship was toxic. Even if everyone says you're better off without them. Even if you logically know it was the right decision. Even if they treated you badly. Even if you've already been through this before. Your grief is valid. Your heartbreak is real. You don't need to justify it or minimize it or rush through it. The ending began everything. It began your grief, yes, but it also began your healing. And healing, as we'll explore in the chapters ahead, isn't about forgetting. It's about learning to carry your memories differently. Learning to honor what was while building what's next. You're at the beginning of something, even though it feels like an ending. And I'm here to walk it with you. Hashtag Chapter 2. The Landscape of Grief, 10 to 2000 Hours. Compassionate, gentle tone. Chapter 2. the landscape of grief. Grief is not linear. It's not a straight path from pain to peace. It's a landscape you wander through, sometimes making progress, sometimes circling back to places you thought you'd left behind. The waves of heartbreak. Some days you'll feel fine. You'll think, I'm healing. I'm getting through this. And then something small will trigger a wave of grief so intense it takes your breath away. A song on the radio. Their favorite food at the grocery store. A couple holding hands on the street. Someone laughing the way they used to laugh. Suddenly you're drowning again. The progress you thought you'd made evaporates, and you're back in the acute pain of fresh loss. This is normal. Grief doesn't progress steadily, it comes in waves. And the waves don't follow a schedule. They arrive when they arrive, and all you can do is learn to ride them. The good news, over time, the waves become less frequent and less intense. They still come, but they don't knock you over the way they did in the beginning. You learn to feel them, acknowledge them, and let them pass. The physical reality of heartbreak. Heartbreak isn't just emotional, it's physical. The term, broken heart, is more literal than we realize. You might experience actual chest pain, difficulty sleeping or sleeping too much, loss of appetite or eating compulsively, exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix, difficulty concentrating, physical heaviness, like you're moving through water, headaches, body aches. This is your nervous system processing trauma. Your body is grieving too, not just your heart. Be gentle with yourself physically during this time. Rest when you need to. Don't expect yourself to function at full capacity. You're healing from an injury, it just happens to be an emotional one. The emotions that visit. Grief brings many emotions with it, often in rapid succession. You might experience all of these in a single day. Sadness is the most obvious. The deep, aching sense of loss. The tears that come in private moments. The heaviness that settles over everything. Anger might surprise you with its intensity. Anger at them for leaving, for breaking promises, for not being who you needed. Anger at yourself for not seeing it coming, for staying too long, for not being enough. Anger at the unfairness of it all. Loneliness cuts deep. Not just the absence of that one person, but a fundamental aloneness. You're single in a couple's world. You're rebuilding an identity as just me when you got used to being we. Anxiety about the future. How will you navigate life alone? What if you never love again? What if you do love again and it ends the same way? The future feels uncertain and scary. Guilt for things you did or didn't do. For the ways you failed or hurt them. For feeling relief mixed with your grief. For moving on when part of you feels you should stay stuck. Shame that you couldn't make it work. That you're single again. That you have to tell people it's over. That you're struggling when you think you should be strong. Confusion about who you are now. You defined yourself partly through this relationship. Now that it's gone, who are you? Numbness when the emotions become too much. Sometimes you feel nothing at all, and that absence of feeling is its own kind of pain. All of these emotions are valid. All of them are part of the landscape of grief. You don't have to feel them in any particular order. You don't have to graduate from one to the next. They'll come and go like weather. The bargaining mind. Your mind will play tricks on you. It will offer you bargains, what-ifs, alternative scenarios. If I just lost weight, dressed better, tried harder. If I had been more understanding, less needy, more independent. If I could go back and change that one conversation, that one decision. If I give them more time, maybe they'll realize. This is your mind trying to regain control. It's looking for the magic formula that would have prevented the loss. But here's the hard truth, there is no formula. Sometimes love ends not because anyone did anything wrong, but because it simply ran its course. And even when there were mistakes, even when you could have done better, you can't change the past. You can only learn from it and grow forward. The loneliness paradox. Here's something strange about grief. You can be surrounded by people and still feel utterly alone. Your friends try to support you, but they can't truly understand unless they've walked this path. They say things that don't help. You'll find someone better. Everything happens for a reason. At least you didn't have kids together. They mean well, but their words can make you feel more isolated. Meanwhile, the one person who would have understood how you feel, because they knew you best, is the person you've lost. They're the person you want to call when you're sad, but they're the reason you're sad. This is the loneliness paradox. The person you most want comfort from is the person whose absence is causing the pain. The social aftermath. Breakups and losses don't just affect you and your former partner, they ripple through your entire social circle. You might lose friends in the split. They're friends who became your friends. Will they still be your friends? Couple friends you socialized with. Do you still fit in their world as a single person? Family members you grew close to, do you have to lose them too? You have to navigate social situations differently now. Plus, one invitations become awkward. Holidays look different. You have to figure out who gets which friend group, who you can still invite to events, how to exist in spaces where you used to be a pair. This social reorganization is another loss on top of the primary loss. It's grief multiplied. The identity crisis. For however long you were together, months, years, decades, you built an identity as part of a unit. We became your default pronoun. Your identity was partially constructed around being someone's partner. Now that's gone, and you have to figure out who you are as just yourself. The questions come. What do I like when no one else's preferences matter? Where do I want to live when it's just my decision? What do I want to do with my free time? Who am I without this relationship defining me? This identity reconstruction is hard work. It's also an opportunity, a chance to rediscover yourself, to remember the parts of you that got lost in the relationship, to become more fully who you're meant to be. The comparison trap. In the age of social media, you might torture yourself by watching them move on. You see their posts, their new life, their apparent happiness. And you wonder, why are they okay when you're still falling apart? Remember this, social media is a highlight reel, not reality. You have no idea what they're actually feeling. Even if they seem fine, everyone processes loss differently. Their timeline isn't your timeline. More importantly, their healing doesn't mean your love didn't matter. Their moving on doesn't invalidate what you shared. Your experiences are separate now. What they do has no bearing on your worth or your grief. The unexpected gifts. Here's something true, even though it might not feel true yet. There are gifts hidden in this grief. The gift of self-reliance. You're learning you can survive on your own. The gift of clarity. You're learning what you truly need in a relationship. The gift of strength. You're discovering you're more resilient than you knew. The gift of authenticity. You're learning to honor your feelings instead of suppressing them. The gift of compassion. You're developing deeper empathy for others who grieve. You didn't ask for these gifts. You would trade them in a heartbeat to have what you lost. But they're here anyway, quietly growing in the soil of your pain. The permission to grieve messily. Grief is not neat. It's not pretty. It doesn't follow the stages you read about in books. It doesn't resolve on anyone else's schedule. You'll have good days and then terrible days. You'll think you're over it and then sob in the produce aisle. You'll feel strong and then completely fragile an hour later. This is all normal. This is all part of the process. You don't have to grieve gracefully. You just have to grieve honestly. The landscape of grief is vast and varied. Some days you'll be in the valley of acute pain. Some days you'll climb to higher ground where you can see more clearly. Some days you'll wander in circles. And slowly, over time, you'll find yourself on new terrain entirely, not because you've forgotten, but because you've integrated the loss into your story and learned to carry it differently. We're not trying to rush through this landscape. We're learning to walk through it with awareness, with self-compassion, and with the trust that on the other side of this grief, there's life waiting for you. Hashtag Chapter 3, The Memory Keepers, 20:00-30:00. Reflective, tender tone. Chapter 3, The Memory Keepers. What do you do with the memories when the relationship ends? This is one of the most painful questions we face. The memories remain vivid and real, but the person or the relationship that created them is gone. How do you hold them? How do you honor them? How do you make peace with them? The pain of happy memories. There's a particular cruelty in happy memories after a loss. The sad memories make sense, of course they hurt. But the happy ones? Those hurt in a different way. You remember the day they made you laugh so hard you couldn't breathe. The trip where everything was perfect. The quiet morning drinking coffee together in comfortable silence. The moment you knew you loved them. These memories should be treasures. Instead, they feel like evidence of something you've been robbed of. Proof of happiness that no longer exists. Reminders of what you once had and will never have again. So we do something confusing. We try not to think about the good times. We avoid the happy memories because they hurt as much as, sometimes more than, the bad ones. But here's what I want you to consider. Those happy memories are yours. They happened. They were real. The ending doesn't erase them. It changes their meaning, yes, but it doesn't make them untrue. Reclaiming your story. When a relationship ends, there's a temptation to revise history. To either idealize everything, it was perfect and I'll never have that again, or villainize everything, it was all terrible and I was foolish to stay. Neither extreme is honest. Most relationships are neither all good nor all bad. They're complex, mixed human. You can hold both truths. There were beautiful moments and it still had to end. You loved each other and it wasn't enough. Real joy existed and real pain existed. Your story is allowed to be complicated. You don't have to make the relationship all good or all bad to justify your grief or your healing. The objects that hold meaning. Photographs, gifts, letters, clothes, playlists, that mug they bought you, the book they inscribed. Physical objects that carry emotional weight. What do you do with them? Some people immediately purge everything, needing to remove all traces of the person from their environment. This can feel empowering, taking action, reclaiming space. Some people hold onto everything, unable to part with any reminder. This can feel safe, keeping the connection alive through objects. Most people fall somewhere in between. And there's no right answer. It's deeply personal. Here's what I suggest. Don't make permanent decisions about objects when you're in acute grief. Put things in a box if you can't look at them yet but aren't ready to discard them. Give yourself time to decide what serves your healing and what holds you hostage to the past. Some things you might keep, the items that represent your happiest memories or your most authentic self. The photo from that incredible trip. The journal from when you were first falling in love. Not to pine over, but as artifacts of a significant chapter of your life. Some things you might release, the items that cause pain without meaning, the clothes that still smell like them, the gift from when they were apologizing for something terrible, things that anchor you to pain rather than memory. The photos question. In the age of digital everything, we have hundreds or thousands of photos. Do you delete them? Keep them? Hide them? Post new ones without them? This is intensely personal, but here's a framework. Photos on display. If seeing their face every day prevents you from healing, take those photos down. Put them somewhere safe, but out of sight for now. You can revisit them later when they don't trigger acute pain. Photos in your phone. Consider creating an album that you don't have to scroll past constantly. The memories are preserved, but you're not ambushed by them when you're just trying to look at yesterday's pictures. Social media photos. Some people archive or delete couple photos. Some people leave them up as part of their history. There's no rule. Do what feels right for your healing. Shared photos. If you have children together or shared important life events, those photos are part of your history. You don't have to erase them. They're part of your story, even if that chapter is closed. The places you shared. The restaurant where you had your first date. The park where you walked every Sunday. The city you visited together. The route you drove to their house. These places hold ghost versions of who you were together. Returning to them can be painful. You're there, but they're not. The memory overlays the present, and it aches. Some places you might need to avoid for a while. Create new routines, find new spots, build new associations. Give yourself permission to stay away from the places that hurt too much. Other places you might need to reclaim. To go there alone or with new people and create new memories. To take back the coffee shop or the hiking trail as yours, not just yours together. You'll know which is which by how it feels. Trust yourself. The songs that bring them back. Music is one of the most powerful memory triggers. A song comes on and suddenly you're back in their car, or in that moment, or feeling exactly what you felt then. You might need to skip certain songs for a while. That's okay. Your relationship doesn't own those songs forever, but it might own them for now. Eventually, you might reclaim some of them. You might create new associations. Or you might always skip that song, and that's okay too. The rituals of remembering. As you move forward, you might create rituals for holding your memories, ways to honor what was without being imprisoned by it. Maybe once a year on their birthday or your anniversary, you let yourself spend time with the memories. You look at photos, you journal, you feel the feelings, and then you return to your present life. Maybe you keep one box of meaningful items, letters, a few photos, small objects, that you revisit when you need to, but don't keep on display. Maybe you write them a letter you never send, saying everything you need to say, and then you put it away or burn it. Maybe you plant a tree or make a donation or do something in their memory if they've died, a way to honor them while investing in the present. These rituals create containers for memory. They give you a designated time and space to grieve and remember, which can make it easier to live fully the rest of the time. Talking about them. If they died, you'll likely talk about them naturally. People expect that. But if you broke up or divorced, there's often an unspoken rule. Don't mention them. They're the past. Move on. But here's the thing. They were a significant part of your life. Erasing them from your stories erases part of yourself. You can mention them when it's relevant. When I lived in Chicago with my ex, my former partner and I used to, not dwelling, not obsessing, just acknowledging reality. As you heal, you'll find you can reference them without pain. They become a character in your life story, an important one, but not the current chapter. The question of future relationships. What role do these memories play when you eventually love someone new? You don't owe a new partner the erasure of your past. Your history is part of what shaped you. A secure, healthy partner will understand that you had a life before them, that you loved before them, and that those experiences made you who you are. At the same time, you don't want to bring your past relationship into your present one in unhealthy ways. Constantly comparing, talking about your ex, being unable to be fully present because you're still processing old wounds, these patterns will damage new connection. The goal is integration. Your past relationships are part of your story, but they're not the story you're currently writing. When they're gone but not forgotten. If the person you loved has died, the relationship between memory and present is different. They're not moving on without you. They're simply gone, and you're left with memory as your only remaining connection. In this case, memories aren't something to move past, they're precious. They're what you have left. The work isn't about letting go of memories but about learning to live alongside them. To carry them without being crushed by them. To remember with love instead of only with pain. The evolution of memory. Here's something beautiful that happens over time. The memories change in quality. Early in grief, memories are raw. They hurt to touch. They feel like open wounds. But slowly, gradually, the edges soften. You can think about the good times without immediately crying. You can remember them without the sharp stab of loss. The memories become bittersweet rather than just bitter. You can smile remembering something funny they said. You can feel grateful that you had that experience, even though it ended. This doesn't happen on a schedule. It doesn't happen because you force it. It happens naturally as part of healing, when you allow yourself to grieve fully and then slowly open to life again. Permission to remember imperfectly. Your memories will fade. Details will blur. You'll forget things you thought you'd never forget. The exact sound of their laugh, the way they looked in a certain light, the words they said that one time. This is normal and human. It doesn't mean they didn't matter. It means you're human, and memory is imperfect, and life moves forward. You might feel guilty about forgetting. Don't. You're not betraying them by healing. You're not dishonoring the relationship by gradually holding it differently. The memories that matter most will stay. And even the ones that fade did their work. They shaped you, taught you, loved you, hurt you, and ultimately made you who you are. You are a keeper of memories, not a prisoner of them. You get to decide which ones to hold close, which ones to put away, and which ones to release. You get to honor your past while building your future. And that's not betrayal, that's healing. Hashtag chapter 4. The healing practices. 30:00-42:00. Gentle, encouraging tone. Chapter 4. The healing practices. Healing isn't something that happens to you, it's something you participate in. It requires intention, practice, and patience with yourself. In this chapter, we'll explore concrete practices that support your journey from acute grief toward gradual healing. The foundation, self-compassion. Before any other practice, this. You must be compassionate with yourself. You're not weak for struggling. You're not pathetic for still hurting weeks or months or even years later. You're not broken because healing isn't linear. You're human. You loved someone. That love mattered. And losing it hurts. That's not weakness. That's proof you're capable of deep feeling and genuine connection. Talk to yourself the way you talk to a dear friend going through this. You wouldn't tell them to get over it or snap out of it. You'd be gentle, patient, understanding. Give yourself that same grace. Practice 1. Feel your feelings. Our culture has a weird relationship with difficult emotions. We're encouraged to stay positive, look on the bright side, not dwell on the negative. But here's the truth, you can't heal from emotions you won't feel. When grief rises, when sadness hits, when anger surges, don't run from it. Don't distract yourself immediately. Don't numb it with substances or busyness or scrolling. Feel it. Sit with it. Let it move through you. This doesn't mean wallowing. It means acknowledging, I feel heartbroken right now. This is really hard. I'm going to let myself feel this for the next 20 minutes. Set a timer if it helps. Feel fully for that time. Cry if you need to. Rage if you need to. Sit in the sadness if that's what's present. Then, when the timer goes off, do something to shift your state. Go for a walk. Call a friend. You've honored the emotion, now you're gently moving forward. Feelings that are felt fully pass through. Feelings that are suppressed get stuck and emerge later in unhealthy ways. Practice 2. Create structure. When your life feels chaotic emotionally, structure becomes a lifeline. Simple daily routines tell your nervous system, I'm okay. Life is continuing. I can do this. This might look like waking up at the same time every day, morning coffee and 5 minutes of journaling, a walk around the block each evening, preparing one good meal for yourself daily, a consistent bedtime routine. These small structures don't fix the grief, but they create a container for it. They give you something to hold on to when everything feels uncertain. Practice 3. Move your body. Heartbreak lives in your body as much as your mind. Physical movement helps process the emotional pain stored in your muscles and nervous system. You don't need to become a fitness fanatic. Simple movement is enough. A 20-minute walk, gentle stretching or yoga, dancing to music in your living room, swimming if you have access to a pool. Anything that gets your body moving and your breath deepening. Movement releases endorphins, reduces cortisol, and helps regulate your nervous system. It also gives you a felt sense of, my body still works. I'm still alive. I can still do things. Practice 4. Journal the journey. Writing is one of the most powerful healing tools available to you. It helps you process what you're thinking and feeling, track your progress, and release what's too heavy to carry alone. You might write, morning pages, 3 pages of stream of consciousness every morning. Letters to your former love that you never send. Gratitude lists alongside grief lists. Observations about what you're learning and noticing. Future letters to your healed self. Don't edit yourself. Don't worry about grammar or making sense. Just let the words flow. You're not writing for anyone else. You're writing to heal yourself. Practice 5. Limit social media. This is hard, but important. Limit your exposure to your former partner's social media. And limit your posting of your own pain. Checking their profiles keeps you tethered to them. You're not allowing yourself to separate. You're feeding the connection instead of loosening it. Consider unfollowing, muting, or even blocking them temporarily. Not out of anger, but as an act of self-care. You need space to heal. And be cautious about using social media to process your grief publicly. It can be tempting to post sad quotes or vague references, hoping they'll see and care. But this keeps you emotionally dependent on their response. Do your grief work privately or with trusted friends? Let social media be a break from grief, not a performance of it. Practice 6. Rebuild your identity. Remember who you were before this relationship. What did you love? What made you laugh? What lit you up? And ask, who am I becoming? Try new things. Take a class you've been curious about. Start a hobby. Join a group. Travel somewhere you've always wanted to go. You're not trying to replace the person or the relationship. You're remembering that you're a whole person, worthy and interesting, with or without a partner. This practice of rediscovering yourself is both healing and empowering. You're proving to yourself, I can build a life I love on my own. Practice. Subscribe and like my channel for more content. See you in my next video.